threatens our lives.
Where there's smoke, there's fire. And when it comes to Christopher Linsmeyer, a lot of it.
We knew he was going to do it again because it's not a sometimes thing. We knew he was going to do it again.
Plus, COVID forces the cancellation of a Christmas tradition.
The Broncos cancel practice after a player tests positive.
And we celebrate Halloween with Alfred Packer, Colorado's cannibal.
He looked really healthy for a guy who had gone through such a horrible thing where everybody else died.
Maybe it's negligence, maybe it's something more. Whatever it is, Denver DA Beth McCann's husband seems to have a history of starting fires he can't control.
And of escaping blame with little more than a slap on the wrist. Christopher Linsmeyer has been connected to several fires over the last several years. The latest incident happened 3 days ago in Kremling, in the shadow, of course, of the East Troublesome fire.
Chief Investigator Tony Kowaleski with us tonight. Tony, the neighbors are telling you they're exhausted, exasperated. They want to know why this keeps happening and what it's going to take to make it stop.
Exactly, Ann and Shannon. This 68-year-old man accused of starting 12 fires back on Monday in Grand County. And we all know what's been happening in Grand County. Right now, he's only facing misdemeanors. And with a 4-year history of starting fires, neighbors say that's a problem.
As you can see here, this fire's piled up.
You're looking at exclusive video.
All that wood's there, it's going up this tree.
And hearing the voice of a concerned Grand County neighbor.
Anybody here?
He's describing 12 unattended fires, all started on Monday, about 200 yards from his home near Kremling.
So, don't know what's going on. Got to get this out.
He does this habitually. It's not an occasional thing or during burn season.
Lori and Tim Pope live next door to the man investigators say is responsible for those fires. The Grand County Sheriff has charged 68-year-old Christopher Linsmeyer with arson.
It really has us concerned at this point.
He does it without a permit. He just does it. It seems to be almost like a hobby.
This is a pattern of behavior that has been going on for roughly 4 years now.
Dominic Meyer has also witnessed questionable behaviors by that same neighbor. This is video from 4 years ago. Linsmeyer also accused of starting this fire. It burned a total of 16 acres, including 8 acres of Dominic's parents' property.
That fire burned down the forest that I grew up in, that I ran around in as a kid, and it endangers not only property, but also human lives.
Frustrations have continued to build because despite multiple investigations by law enforcement and 2 prior criminal cases, the 68-year-old accused fire starter has not served any jail time.
So it doesn't seem like this arsonist is facing the consequences that he should be facing for his extremely reckless actions.
And part of that frustration comes from this case. Linsmeyer originally charged with arson for another fire on his property. Before the court hearing, neighbors sent letters to the judge writing, "We fear for our lives," because this individual has been allowed to repeatedly commit the same acts of arson with no punishment. A second letter reads, "The only thing that will modify his behavior is time in jail." The judge decided no jail time. Instead, the charge was pled down from arson to a county ordinance violation and a fine of less than $1,600. Do you feel the legal system has held him accountable?
No, not.
Absolutely not.
And here's why neighbors ultimately question the apparent lack of accountability. 68-year-old Christopher Linsmeyer is married to Beth McCann, Denver's district attorney.
I'm sorry the neighbors feel that way. My message to them is wait and see. Please wait and see.
Matt Karzan is the DA for Grand County. He's now reviewing the evidence presented by sheriff's investigators and considering how to proceed. Now they're saying the system didn't work and they're wondering if somehow he was given preferential treatment.
It's 100% false. Linsmeyer has never been given any preferential treatment based on who his spouse is or for any other reason like that.
The Grand County DA telling us he will make a charging decision in the next 7 to 10 days. Denver DA Beth McCann saying because her husband is currently under investigation, any kind of comment at this point would be inappropriate. Ann?
Tony, thank you. The Park Service says nearly 29,000 acres of Rocky Mountain National Park have burned. That's the most in its 105-year history. The East Troublesome and Cameron Peak fires are both to blame. The park remains closed until further notice.
A group of parents protesting outside Denver Public School headquarters this afternoon. They are angry over the decision to pull 3rd and 4th and 5th graders from in-person learning. They also feel like the district is frequently pulling the rug out from under them.
I feel like this endless cycle of this decision making, nothing is coming of it to get kids back in the classroom. And what I would say is when we see problems in schools, when we see case outbreaks, teachers, kids come in with cases, fine, shut that cohort down, shut that school down, but don't do it for all of Denver. Not every school is suffering from these issues.
Earlier this week, Superintendent Susana Cordoba told us she was heartbroken that it had come to this, but ultimately that this was the decision that provided the best balance between learning and safety.
781 people are in the hospital tonight in Colorado for coronavirus. 663 are confirmed to have it. The rest are expected to test positive. A record 2,400 cases were confirmed today, and 10 more people died.
Douglas and El Paso County, both increasing restrictions as cases rise there. Bars will be told to close, restaurants and gyms will reduce capacity, and both counties will make these moves on Wednesday. Now, Hudson Gardens in Littleton has canceled its holiday lights show. Now, people come from all over to see these beautiful decorations, but organizers say there's just no way to make the walking trails work this year. Nearly 2.3 million Coloradans have already voted, most of them by mail.
Some of you are still doing it the old-fashioned way, and that's great. Just try and use proper poll etiquette while doing so.
Denver7 political reporter Megan Lopez tonight on what not to do when turning in your ballot.
Across the country, you've probably seen the videos by now showing long lines of people waiting to vote. Colorado doesn't have those problems because of our robust mail-in ballot system. But some people just like to vote in person. So here are some frequently forgotten rules on casting a ballot the old-fashioned way. First, let's talk fashion.
No campaign things, anything on the ballot, anything for candidates, nothing for parties, party affiliation.
But there's a caveat.
You can have some things like a BLM or an MAGA. Ironically, it's a very fine line between there.
And if you want to make one last push for your candidate or your ballot issue for those final few voters trickling in, keep in mind you cannot be within 100 feet of a ballot box or a polling center. And speaking of what you're wearing,
we do need to have you wear a mask if possible. If you have a medical concern or an issue that refuses to wear the mask, we can't deprive you from voting, but we will give you extra special distancing.
If you have COVID-19 symptoms, you're still entitled to vote, but election officials are asking you to drop off your ballot or use a curbside voting pickup instead for the sake of safety. In terms of ID,
you need to bring some identification to make sure that you're in the right location for your ballot.
Now let's talk ballots.
When somebody wants to vote in person, a lot of people bring the ballot because they want it shredded. And that's fine. You don't have to bring it.
When you come to vote in person, your mail-in ballot will be voided. Also, if you're trying to drop off the ballots of family, friends, or co-workers, remember,
you cannot drop more than 10 ballots at any one election.
And don't forget, you must be in line by 7 p.m. on election night. Happy voting. Megan Lopez, Denver7.
ABC News Election Night coverage begins at 5 o'clock right here Tuesday. And if you have an extra TV or computer, turn your Roku, Amazon Fire Stick, Apple TV to Denver7 for nonstop 360 coverage of the local races and ballot initiatives. That all begins at 6 o'clock. You can also watch on our website.
The American people have never had so little faith in an independent, free press. So why are our top newspapers still letting their editorial boards endorse presidential candidates?
Plus, the Broncos canceled practice just 2 days before their game with the Chargers. And Governor Polis opens Colorado's 42nd state park.